Alright. Really wasn't going to make any new videos, but I've been thinking about 2 or 3 different things that's been rolling around in my head. So, number one, there's a lot of stuff that's happened over the past 2 to 3 weeks that I haven't mentioned. Just really not really big important stuff. Just the way that people act toward homeless people, people less fortunate, people that are out of the norm for the majority of society. People riding bicycles instead of in a car. People, different things. But my story in Chattanooga, is pretty long. I don't want to try to go all the way back to, all the craziness that I've been through since I first got here in Chattanooga. Just in the past 2 or 3 weeks, there's been a lot of stuff. I bought the bicycle, which unfortunately, because of my trip downtown where I did the videos, or the one video where I was downtown, well, the 2 videos, the one where I stopped along the way on the Riverwalk pathway on the electric bike on the way downtown to go and film the next video, which is the one with the 4 seasons and the witch dancing on the planet. But I think not long before that, a few days before that, I had my need work sign, and I was sitting in the spot that I go to every once in a while when I feel like I need to try to keep from, backsliding too much financially until I go back to work. This lady came by and hollered out the window to me, "Go get a job!" Which is funny to me, since I had a job and it was the perfect job for me. Really, I could sleepwalk through it and actually hit the numbers, which nobody else did, especially people out of the temp services. I mean, there was a few, don't get me wrong, but not very many. And, it's not really hard to do, especially if you've worked with the kind of machinery and stuff they got there, production machines with metal fabrication and that kind of thing. If you've done that before, you know how to kind of make things go smooth through the day, and I was doing that. But I lost that job. Why? Why did I lose that job? I lost that job because I was homeless and needed another 5 or 6 or 7 paychecks so I could buy a decent minivan and not be homeless anymore. And so I was staying right there, because of the location of the place I'm working. And a couple of weeks in a row, with only 1 day off, working 6 days a week, and I get let go on a Friday. Get let go. Simply because one guy couldn't handle me being around the freaking property, using the bathroom or going to the men's locker room where I had a locker, or going and heating something up in the freaking microwave. This is the guy that, as I was walking through after I went to Walmart to buy some stuff to put in my locker to make my life a little easier, I'm walking through the freaking break room to the locker room after my shift, about 3 hours after my shift one day, and I went to Walmart and came back, all the way back over there, and I'm toting stuff in there, and this guy says to me, what's going on? Where are you going with all that? I said, I just went to Walmart. I'm taking this to my locker. Is that all right? This is the guy that cost me the job. English prick from straight out of, red coat. The red coats are back. One of them works over at Gestapo. But yeah, anyway. So that happened. And I had a guy really crazy as hell when I was riding the bike downtown to go do those 2 videos. Mainly I went down there to do the second one, the 4 Seasons and the Witch Dancing on the Planet. You know, on the way down there, I'm on Shallowford over there where it crosses over that other 4-lane road somewhere, and I've gotten, you know, I was on the sidewalk, and the sidewalk, they're doing all kinds of road work, and there's limbs hanging in the way sometimes and everything, so I had, you know, there's not much traffic out there, you know, and at that time, that morning, there wasn't much traffic, and so, you know, I got off of the sidewalk and just kind of went out into the center turn lane, and, you know, it was safe as it could be. There wasn't a problem. Nobody was in the way. There wasn't much traffic at all. This guy pulls up right beside me in the left lane, going the same direction I'm going, as we're kind of going down this slight hill, and says, "Why don't you get out of the road?" And he's driving this, like, you know, freaking, you know, 4 or 5 year old truck, maybe, you know, that's like a F-250 or 350 or a, you know, really expensive truck with a lot of extras and all this crap. You know, he's Mr. Guy. You know, he's the guy. You know, and he sees this guy on this bicycle and it just pisses him off. And it's not like I got in his way. I didn't get in his way. I didn't interrupt him. I didn't do a fucking thing. Didn't slow him down. Didn't, you know, I was just cruising down that middle lane. You know. There wasn't even any arrows where I was in it most of the time because there wasn't anywhere to turn left or right. It's just the center lane right there. He pulls up beside me and says, why don't you get out of the road? And I was looking at him, and we're both moving forward. He had to slow down to do this. And, damn mosquitoes. And he said, and I just kind of looked at him and just kind of shrugged like this and hoped that maybe he would, you know, fucking not be a prick and just move on. So I just did that and kept going. Well, he slowed down just slightly and then sped back up and kind of got back, you know, to get my attention again, back right beside me, and said the same thing again. "Hey, why don't you get out of the road?" And I looked at him and made whatever face I made at him. And then he kind of was speeding up slowly. And I said, "Why don't you go fuck yourself?" And oh, that pissed him off. That pissed him off. He didn't like that at all. Because the way that he said both of those times that he said, "Hey, why don't you get out?" It was really with a lot of disdain. You could just tell the way he said it. It was really kind of, you know, almost threatening, but not quite. You know, you get what I'm saying? So, you know, yeah, the second time, you know, if you're going to keep fucking with me when I'm not fucking with you, and there's no reason to be fucking with me, and you say something like that to me a second time, and look at me the way you're looking at me, like you want to do something to me if I don't mind you, then you're going to get what I said. Why don't you go fuck yourself? So he didn't like that at all. So guess what he did? He speeds up and pulls over in front of me in that center lane, directly in the direction that I'm going, and I have to put on the brakes and stop. He blocks my progress forward, which is a crime. He's at a standstill, and I'm at a standstill about 5 feet behind his bumper. Well, I just kind of back up about 2 more feet and go around him because I look and see that there's nobody in that left lane closest to the lane I'm in. And I go around this truck and get back over immediately right in that center lane, and I keep going. What does he do? He gets behind me. And I'm going slower now because what I've done is I've switched from like 4th or 5th gear that I was in traveling before when he pulled up beside me initially. I done gone down to like 2 or something, right? So, or 2 or 3. And so I'm not in 4 or 5. So I'm going slower. but I'm in that center lane, and he gets right up behind me, 6 or 8, 9 feet behind me at the most, and is keeping up with me. We're going a little slower, and he's lunging the front of the truck at me like he's gonna hit me, And I don't let off the gas, I've got the trigger pulled, and I'm moving along, and he's doing that, and I just kind of lean back to him because I think I'm going downhill or something. I'm able to take my hand off of the gas, and I just kind of lean back like this with my hand and just kind of give him a motion like, come on and hit me, And once I did that, he probably saw that I had zero fear. If you're going to hit me, go ahead and hit me. Go ahead. I'll take your house, your truck, and maybe your wife. Anyway, so that happened. Also, this is a subject that I want to, there's 2 or 3 other things I can't really remember right now. The fact that my bank, that I spent $360 on the bike, and the bike is basically worthless, is something that really has got me, this is the pattern. If I have money and I purchase something and invest my money in something, it disappears. It started this particular last 5-year pattern, or 4.5-year pattern, started in Texas, or 4-year pattern. It's been about 4 years now since it happened. Just shy of it, I think, by a month or 2. Actually, it might be exactly 4 years right now, I think, right at 4 years. But taking everything from me. I just got it too. My dead parents, the property I grew up on in South Alabama until I was 13 or 14 years old, finally sold after being up for sale for 15, 16 years, and I get $27,000 and some change, 300 or 400 more. Pay off some debt. Sell that piece of crap Dodge Caravan I had that I was living in, and got a utility van, a bunch of music equipment, a bunch of food, some totes, some electrical equipment to power up my some of my music equipment, my little Bluetooth / PA speakers I had bought. All that stuff, got all it disappears in Texas because I had a PTSD episode after being railroaded and run over by police and threatened by one in Alabama that solicited trespass on me, and then had his hand on his gun chasing me out of the parking lot because I wasn't going to. I watched him solicit trespass, and I was sitting in my van minding my own business when he went in to solicit trespass. And then because I'm going to leave and not go through all that bullshit because he's a fucking snot-nosed little prick cop, I go ahead and crank up and start leaving, and he's chasing me in a full sprint, screaming at me to stop my van, and he's got his hand on his gun. You going to pull your weapon on me and shoot me over you soliciting a trespass on somebody that hadn't done a damn thing wrong? This happened before I had a PTSD episode in Texas, because once again I'm scared to death because I got police behind me on a completely empty interstate. Turned his lights on right up against the back. He didn't even have his headlights on. Turned everything on right behind my van. And this is a utility van with windows all around. All I could see was blue and red on the inside of my van. Yeah, I had an episode. Damn sure did. I've only had 3 of them. And it caused me not to stop and to get arrested and sent to prison because you didn't stop for our authority. Fucking assholes. Over speeding by 6 or 7 miles an hour at damn near 11 o'clock at night with a completely empty interstate, and you gotta fuck with me. And I'm tired, and I've been driving. I'm almost out of gas. I'm just trying to make it to Shreveport, go to sleep. Trying to make it to New Orleans. Damn near broke. Pretty much broke. Yeah, destroyed my life. Last 4 years of my life are gone. They might as well not have existed. Didn't have a defense. I wasn't diagnosed yet. I knew I had PTSD. I didn't know I had anxiety disorder and depression. Well, I figured I might. I knew I got depressed. I didn't know I suffered from depression. But I went through some pretty interesting things that and got diagnosed after I signed a plea deal for 3-year prison sentence because I knew better, especially in Texas or someplace like Texas. And for something like not recognizing their authority and pulling over for them and not being diagnosed as a defense, to have that as a defense. Plus, my freaking court-appointed attorney wasn't good. He made it really clear while I was behind bars in the county jail and I was losing my mind, worried about losing everything, which did happen, of course. He didn't care. All he did was look at, you know what he did? He pointed at my felony record, not a conviction, but a plea deal, for something I deserved it for. Years ago, when I was a drug addict. He pointed at that and used that as the reason to, well, there's nothing, First thing he did was offer me a 4-year plea deal. After all that, instead of getting paroled out, when I got paroled out after 5 months being in the prison system, going in 3 different prisons, getting food poisoning 4 or 5 times, and getting interviewed and questioned about a whole bunch of shit because of my drug past, which I made clear in the one interview that I think had something to do with this. But they asked if you have ever had an addiction problem, and I said yes, but I made it clear it ended in February of 2016. It ended. They still, in order to launder taxpayer money through the private corporations that run a lot of the facilities that are like rehab facilities, which are basically still prisons. They still got the freaking chain link fence and the barbed wire and all that shit, and you're still inside the freaking building. And they didn't even have, at this one, just like a couple of the other 3 prisons that I was in, did not have, they didn't let you outside. You never went outside. But the food was better there. But 8 months, 6 months in Odessa, Texas, and then going through a whole bunch of bullshit of having to be toted around like a freaking possession or piece of property owned by the state. Then I had to go for 2 months, so it's a total of 8 months. 2 months I was in, 2 months I was in Odessa. 6 months I was in the rehab program and that, still in prison, basically. Just outside of Austin. It starts with a K, I forget the name of it. But then 2 months in Odessa, Texas, which is a freaking shithole, as far as I could tell. Now there I could go in and out and everything, but it was basically it was basically a halfway house and everything. You could go get work and everything if you wanted to. But I was only going to be there 2 months, and my goal was to get back to Marshall, Texas, which is where just a few belongings, whatever I still have in this world, was on a shelf at this pawn shop that this guy, Kelly, who I still keep in touch with, really good dude, served in the Marine Corps in Marshall, Texas. He held my stuff for me while I was in prison. And gone. And I still couldn't get back to Marshall after that 8 months, because then I got to go to Longview, Texas, because when you're paroled out, they want to know where you're at. We have to track you, and you have to have a residence. So if you don't know anybody and you were on vacation when you got arrested coming through our goddamn fucking Nazi fucking state, And you get arrested and you don't have any money and you can't fucking goddamn pay bond and then go pay the fucking towing place or their fucking impound lot and all that fucking shit. You get to lose everything. You lose everything. No, you don't have any possessions in this world anymore. Fuck you. And we're going to do whatever the fuck we want to. But anyway, Longview. So 5 months in 3 different prisons. 6 months in freaking Austin that going through a drug rehab bullshit class thing fucking that it sucked. Being behind bars sucks. It doesn't matter what kind of shit you're going through. 6 months of that I didn't need because I've been clean since February 2016 and we're talking about early 2022 now or mid 2022. I don't need rehab, but yeah, I know y'all need to launder the taxpayer money to the fucking corporation that's running that fucking bullshit program that you got going on. Anyway, then I go to Odessa for 2 months. Then I leave Odessa and I go to freaking Longview, which is about a 40 minute, it's a 40-minute drive from Longview to Marshall. So I'm in Longview because there's a place called House of Disciples, which is owned by Wiseman Ministries. Wiseman Ministries. Hey, they got a connection to Tennessee too. I'll tell you about it. They're breaking a law. I'm pretty sure that's already a federal law because they're trafficking people from Tennessee to Texas and putting them in Wiseman Ministries. And what Wiseman Ministries does, Wiseman Ministries is owned by Tim Wiseman, and him and his daddy are both Freemasons. And they've got this wonderful Christian ministry that traps you. If you go to one of the locations where they have the facilities where they put a roof over your head and feed you a bunch of fucking goddamn sugar, along with some other nasty slop, from what I've heard at most of them. The one I was at, it wasn't too bad. But for 6 months, I'm stuck there. I get there and I have to sign these contracts and shit and everything. Because I have to, see, there's not a residence for me to parole out to, so I got to go somewhere. I got to go to something like that, or a halfway house or whatever. I could not get a fucking halfway house. The 2 months I was in Odessa, I was on the phone calling places and trying to find somewhere to fucking go. So the closest I could get to Marshall is no place in Marshall. So what I do? I went to Longview. Well, I'm at Wiseman Ministries, and all of a sudden I didn't sign these fucking papers and shit, and found out that I can't fucking make any phone calls to anybody from that facility. I can't leave that facility on my own, number one. Number two, I can't leave that facility unless it's authorized. Well, you see what I'm getting at. I can't leave unless it's with them. Now, they do take you away from there to use you as free slave labor. Anyway, at some of the businesses are kind of for profit, and some of them kind of ain't. But all of it's kind of shady shit, if you get what I'm saying. But 6 months, and so they kind of trap you there by not allowing you to have more than one phone call per week, and it can only be a family member. Get it? So I was told by one of them that yeah, they would let me call, because I said this ain't what I wanted. This ain't what I need. This is not what I want to do. They wouldn't let me leave there, or they wouldn't let me call other places. They wouldn't let me make phone calls. You can't have a phone there, okay? You can't have vapes. I don't know about the vapes. They gave you 2 packs of cigarettes, or was it 2 packs or 1? I think it was 2 packs of cigarettes a week. But you work 36, 38 hours a week. The particular place that I always went was, well, I also went and emptied the city garbage cans that are the city garbage cans downtown Longview. We were like 3 or 4 of you would walk and go in this van and pick up all the trash out of all those city cans and put a new bag in them. Did that. But I had to go to this counseling shit that was attached to the drug rehab shit still, and I was pissed off about that. It was a pain in the ass. But the rest of the time I would go to this thrift store and be working in the back and having to be talked down to by these freaking cunts, these witches, these fucking cunt, these Christian whore, fucking disgusting, blood-soaked, disgusting, nasty, pussy-smelling goddamn whores that think they're good people. working with that freaking ministry, running that goddamn motherfucking thrift store. And you got freaking 12 goddamn fucking people running around this motherfucker every day from a fucking prison that calls itself a goddamn fucking church. For 6 months, they've got you locked in there. You can't fucking leave. I mean, you can leave. You can leave if you want, but if you're on parole or probation and you're told you got to be there, you get a warrant. You get arrested. You go back to jail. Another subject I want to cover. That's the kind of shit right there that makes me mad, boy. I look back and that's just some. That's just some of it. That's just some of it. The shit that happened, the event that happened before that caused me to be able to be triggered into a PTSD over police. The thing that I mentioned about the guy soliciting the trespass, that's only one. There's 3 other incidents similar to that happened just in the 6-8 months prior to the night that I got arrested actually in Shreveport. I made it across the Louisiana line. I went around 2 spike strips somehow. I don't even remember it, but I went around 2 spike strips in Texas. One to the left, the first one to the left, the second one to the right, and then the third one, I didn't go far enough left. I do remember that much, but I don't remember. I do remember I was on the phone with my sister because I was in tears. But that's all I remember. I don't remember, they said that I went 35 miles. I crossed the Louisiana line, and I was in the edge of Shreveport when the spike strip got my 2 right tires. And when that happened, it kind of shocked me. And all I could think, the way my mind was working, was, I don't want to damage my rims. It was a useless thought in hindsight. And if I had the ability to logically think about it, it would have been a stupid thought at the moment too, because I was broke, basically. Okay, I didn't have any money. I was limping my way to New Orleans, desperately trying to get there and try to go out there and give it one more shot with my musical talent, which was once promising. So, anyway, the other subject I want to cover is there are my other 3 YouTube channels never really got very big. I think, maybe 15 or 20 subscribers is the most any of those. And they were all just me messing around. This one's starting to become, well, I don't know. I was serious about a couple of those, but I won't say that. But I never really got any comments or anything, or maybe I just never paid attention to them before, but I'm getting some comments. And I understand that anybody that new that happens upon my videos or something that aren't subscribers somehow or something like that, I understand, and anybody that looks at my channel or looks at one of my videos, there's certain preconceived notions they're going to get about me. There's stereotypes that are going to click in their head. There's things that people are going to assume about me. Because I'm homeless and because I look the way that I do and the fact that I'm damn near toothless, and there's a lot of things, a lot of conclusions people can draw from, taking a look at one of my videos or 2 of my videos or 5 of my videos or whatever, and they'll sit there and make a comment or something, trying to kind of make me seem like I'm nuts or I'm a kook, or they want to say I'm a conspiracy theorist or whatever, right? So to those people that want to do that, I don't care. You can comment. Anybody's welcome to comment, obviously, on any of my videos and shit. All my shit's out there, right? So go ahead and comment if you want, but I'm just telling you, if you coming at me with an ego because you happen to see one of my videos and you happen to know that I'm homeless and that I'm talk a certain way about certain things and I'm toothless and all this shit, and you're assuming that you're much more intelligent and you got it all together a lot better than I do, and this guy's obviously getting what he deserves because this is a just and free nation, and I know what's right and what's wrong, and I know how things work, and all this crazy kooky occult shit he talks about, and all these symbols and all this stuff and everything. You know, if you believe all that shit, what was it he said? If you believe all that crap, you know, and everything, but you don't believe in flat Earth, something like that's what he said. You know, you believe in all that other crazy crap, but you don't believe in flat Earth. No, I got a freaking brain and common sense. The Earth ain't fucking flat. It's not perfectly round either. So there. How you like that? Anyway, no, my 2.5 years of college that I had doesn't prove anything. The fact that I grew up in was fortunate enough to, in certain ways, to grow up in a middle-class family, and the fact that I've always been really curious about learning about different things, especially things that are the most interesting to me, which are big issues, big things, big important subjects. The Bible in our house when I was a kid was this big, huge Catholic Bible, I believe. I don't know for sure. It's been a long time since I've seen it. But I'm the only one in the family I ever saw go over to the shelf and pull it down and start looking at it. And I was doing that when I was like 6 or 7 years old. Of course, I was listening to Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd when I was 7 or 8. But yeah, to those people that want to come at me with some kind of ego and dismiss me, and I would also say in general, you want to dismiss conspiracy theorists and all you crazy kooks. You people are the ones that should be embarrassed. You should be embarrassed. Because facts, documents, video, audio, historical writings, historical cases, deep diving researchers, and professional and non-professional journalists, meaning with or and without degrees in journalism. You are literally suffering, many of you, from a psychosis, like that guy that pulled up beside me. And it just irritated him that somebody was going outside the boundaries of the freaking insane, over judiciated crap laws that exist. Didn't like the fact that I was out in the road with a bicycle. And there was a bicycle lane there. I understand what he wanted me to do was go get in the bicycle lane. But he was aggressive about saying, hey, you're pissing me off. Basically, he could have just come out and said, look, you're pissing me the fuck off, and I want to do something to you because you're in that goddamn fucking middle lane right there. Even though you're not bothering nobody, ain't nobody hardly out here, and you didn't get in my way. I want you to fuck out of that middle fucking lane and get your goddamn ass over there in that fucking bike lane, you son of a bitch. That's basically the attitude the guy had. And it's a psychosis. You people have been, if you want to understand, my video about the abyss just went through my head. Go back and watch the abyss. And whatever I can't remember the rest of it. That's what I'm talking about. There is a psychosis that people in the Western civilization basically, but especially America, there has never been a country on the face of the earth well, I can't say never, But in modern technological times, with the modern technological weapons that are now available, and the more complex understanding of the human mind and how to manipulate it that they very easily documentably work on. They've got all kinds. There's all kinds of stuff you can pull up that they manipulating the mind. The word government is rooted in mind control. To govern. If you're governing something, you're controlling something. If you're controlling something with a mind, maybe you want to control the mind of that thing, right? So, I kind of forget what subject I was on. I feel like I lost my subject. But yeah, I've got a lot of things I'd like to say to anybody. Just because I'm homeless and I'm in the shape that my life is in the shape that I'm in, you want to insult me and you don't even know what I've been through. You don't know why I'm homeless. You don't know who put me in the streets. You don't know what I've been through. You don't know the rest of the story, much less do you know what part of the story I told just in this video. So, you go right ahead and think that you're so smart. I'm so smart, and I know what justice and freedom and liberty is, and I know that this country especially, everything works out so that everybody justly gets what they deserve in this life. That's what you think. That's what you think. Don't go watch my playlist. Don't go watch my playlist. That bubble will burst, bud. Ma'am. And they won't, because of cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance. Heard that word before, perhaps? Yeah. But it's based in greed. When you take the greed of the Western system and the bombardment with all of the brainwashing and propaganda and pushing of materialism and superficialism and shallow thinking and everything that's been pushed onto the American public and the West. And yes, it goes outside of the West in America, but it's been really bad in America. I don't know. You can't point at a more psychologically damaged country on the planet than the United States of America. It's a psychological mess. It really is. And it's because of these compromised, sick, perverted, blackmailed, and otherwise compromised leaders, powerful people. But see, people in the middle class and people that are conservatives and people that, a lot of old people, like the old lady at Walmart, bless her heart, poor thing, she has to put her hope. She's been, she's at an age, you can't, she's gonna think Donald Trump is a really good guy and he's doing what he can to help save America. You can't convince her of anything other than that. That's just what she's gonna think. No sense in trying to talk to her about it. But the cognitive dissonance and the combined with the greed together, those two things, and the way that the system pushes everybody forward in the mechanics of just participate in the system and let everything else around that's involved with the system that's horrible continue, and don't look at it. Don't look at it. Whatever you do, don't look at it. If anybody says that there's some kind of corruption or some kind of freaking conspiring went on in the government to cover up something or anything, just don't look at it. It's silly. You got to believe our narrative, So, if you're not willing to, if you don't have enough empathy, if you don't have the capacity to empathize with your fellow man and you don't have the ability to actually not take things on their face value and kind of look around and research and see if there's evidence to back up something. I believe in going with logic and reason and facts and data. Patterns are very important as well. When you're looking at patterns through history, oh yeah, that comes in really handy. Dr. Sean Ross in my playlist is an example of that. Anyway, I want everybody out there to know I'm on your side. I'm on your side, whoever you are, unless you're an evil piece of crap. But if you're a good person that wants everybody to have security and the necessities of life and to be at least somewhat content and have what they need in this world at least, and be treated fairly by the system, you know, then I'm with you, because, you know, a lot of the reason I spent almost 30,000 hours of my life looking into things and reading books and going down rabbit holes and Googling certain things every once in a while, but not often, and then to corroborate things, and then looking at a whole bunch of stuff on YouTube, all the rest of the time wasn't doing those other two things, then, you know, my thirst that I've always had for knowledge, or at least my interest in learning about things, if it's the right kind of subject, which my subjects have expanded apparently over the past 8-9 years greatly, but you know, that combined with the fact that I do care, you know, that's the biggest thing. People have to understand that they've got to figure out how to maybe cut down on entertaining yourself a little bit. You know, you've got all this entertainment out here. You're constantly entertained and everything, and I know everybody's got jobs and everything, but look, if you're so detached from reality that you don't see the injustices that go on, all you got to do is go and watch stuff in my playlist. You know, the people in this country that are in the middle class and that are above that, and some there even that are poor people, also have the same biases against, you know, poor people and homeless people, and when it comes to crime, and support the police no matter what, and all that kind of stuff. There's literally thousands upon thousands of people get arrested across the United States weekly. Thousands upon thousands. You hearing me? Weekly get arrested that have not, number one, have not committed a crime, which is causing some kind of damage or harm to another individual, whatever kind of damage that may be. And two, they didn't even commit a crime according to all the freaking non-crime laws that exist, which are really corporate policies, because it's all corporate. Chattanooga City Council or whatever, it's corporation. But anyway, on top of that, they didn't commit, even break, a lot of times, most times they didn't even break some simple stupid little freaking traffic law or some other stupid insignificant freaking law where, you know, a piece of paper makes a difference on whether or not you go behind bars or not. Really? Come on, man. You didn't pay your $89 extortion fee to get your tag in time, and it's 2 days late, and we're going to lock you up. You know, especially if you're dark colored or darker colored. But even if you're white, if you're a poor motherfucker who's got a record, you're going in. If you're this white, if you're white and you look like you've been a drug addict in the past, you might go in. If your car looks like shit and you're an eyesore when you're going down the road, cop might decide, well, we're just gonna get this trash off the damn road, you know. Yeah, you just never know, you know. But thousands weekly. get their rights violated. I guarantee you at least 50% of the arrests that happen weekly across this country, at some point during the arrest, during first contact with police, to the point where they're put in handcuffs and it's decided that they're going downtown, at least one, if not several, rights get violated. Literally. And that's just the light part of it. And what do you hear from middle-class America and local news channels? Yeah, there's a story every once in a while on local news channels. The big news channels ain't really gonna carry crap. But, I mean, it's happening, and that's just one example. You can take people getting beat up. You can take people getting tased. You can take people getting shot. You can take people getting their house broke into unlawfully with no warrant. You can take all kinds of different situations going on across this country. Cops having child corn. Yeah. Cops going after kids. There's a lot of that stuff that goes on, and it's something new pops out every single day. Not just one something. When I say something, I mean a whole array every single day of new videos hits YouTube showing proof that the poor people out here are getting decimated by the police. And what's the middle class doing? We're voting for people, somebody like Donald Trump is going to put the freaking military in the streets, and we're still going to think that that's fine. Trump's a good guy. He's, yeah. You would probably be fine with the military going out into the streets of D.C. and just gunning down all the fucking homeless people. If they reported that tonight while you were eating freaking supper, you probably wouldn't pause. You wouldn't skip a beat. That every homeless person in D.C. has been gunned down by the military. You might pause for about 3 or 4 seconds, maybe 5, 6. Then you keep eating. You keep eating. No, your mind would be working while you're sitting there chewing, but you'd be eating. You'd be able to eat. It ain't gonna bother you that much. You've been conditioned. This whole fucking society's conditioned you to accept that violence is just going to happen, especially if it's, poor criminal pieces of shit here in the United States out on the streets with all those drugs and all that crap. Freaking potential criminals, I just want to get rid of them. That way I don't have to worry about whether or not one of them's going to come into my neighborhood and try to steal something out of my garage or some shit, whatever. Pre-crime. We got pre-crime shit. That's part of why they're building this surveillance state. You people that's got kids, your kids are going to hate you. 20 years from now, your kids are going to go, my parents were fucking assholes because they allowed this to happen to us. You don't know what they're building. Better go to my playlist, find out what they're building, because they're building something for you, I guarantee you. Your kids, anyway. Yeah, go ahead and think you're gonna, I know you do it for the same reason a teenage girl does things, attention, I know, or to pad your own ego, sir, so some guy showing up at my occult symbol video and saying that, oh, you're crazy enough to believe that stuff, huh? I got facts to back up things that I say or so. Do you? Did you go vote for the pedophile president that's in the oral orifice right now? How about you Democrats? If you're a Democrat, you voted for Clinton, you definitely voted for one. I'm thinking that Obama is kind of suspect. And I know some creepy crap about Biden. Oh, you had other people. You had, who was it, FDR? FDR used to watch child porn that was created by the mob and float down the St. Lawrence up there on his boat. This shit's been around, man. All it is a criminal. Government is just a criminal organization, and their buddies are the bankers. Well, that's their bosses. The bankers are their bosses, especially the global bankers. But the religious leaders and the secret society types, the upper ones, they're all buddies. The big international corporate CEOs. That's that big club George Carlin talks about. But yeah, y'all go ahead and come on here and think that you're some kind of intelligent person that's got things figured out more than this stupid homeless piece of shit. Go ahead and come on there and make your comments. I'll chew you to pieces. I'll chew you to pieces. Come on in here. I kind of feel like Ammon in a way. You want to come in here and challenge what I believe to be factual and stuff that I put out in content in my videos and say that I'm a crazy guy? Huh? Come on in here and give me some facts that prove what I say is not so. Can you do that? I don't think you can. And I got a good feeling that people that talk that way in my comments under my videos, I'm pretty sure most of them aren't going to bother going to my playlist and spending much time watching. They might go and poke into one video for about 5-6 minutes, and then their ego and their cognitive dissonance will kick in, and they'll go, I'm not going to look at that. I've looked at a lot of information. I've learned how to filter out bullshit. That's the key. I got some wild ideas. I really am kind of impressed with myself, actually. I'm kind of a little philosopher sitting up here on this hill I'm sitting out on, overlooking this big, huge parking lot that probably got flooded the other day. Oh, by the way, I put some videos in my playlist in the Tennessee, Real Tennessee News category in my playlist about the flooding. I didn't realize it flooded that bad because I was stuck in McDonald's when it flooded here day before yesterday or whenever. But I have that video about when it flooded a couple of weeks ago right down the road here, and there was a car that was in the water was up to about 3 feet deep all the way across the road down there where those two big culverts are. There was a car in there. The girl was over on the sidewalk. Her car's in, at least a foot up above the floorboard in water. But it got much worse than that. I didn't realize it was nowhere near that bad, and all of a sudden there's stuff hitting my feed about freaking flooding in Tennessee, which I'm sure y'all have seen that stuff and everything. I did throw a couple in the Tennessee, Real Tennessee News category. There's a couple of other things that I've put in there that's kind of interesting. There's not a lot in that category. But I've created a couple of new categories here recently. Oh, if you want to learn the most complex language, it looks like, that has ever existed in the history of man, at least that we have evidence of, ancient Greek. Some of you may know where I'm going with this. One of the categories I created is called Ancient Greek Class. If you are somebody or you know somebody that is going into medicine and they're really going to get deep into medicine and they want to know the history of medicine and be able to more clearly understand the dynamics of what they're going to be experiencing going through medical school and whatnot, I would highly recommend that they consider learning ancient Greek. And Dr. Ammon Hillman, I took the trouble to make a playlist called Ancient Greek Class. where you can go down. The first 8 videos are Dr. Hillman going through a class. Now the thing is, each of those 8 videos starts out with him running his yap and doing his usual thing, tearing the Bible to pieces, okay? And, you know, if you want to skip that for whatever reason, skip that. And just go to the part where you see he's got a solid black shirt on. He pauses in the middle of the video, or at some point, anywhere from 25 to 80% of the way through it, almost. Usually it's a little over half of the video, somewhere around in there, is him doing the Bible thing and his usual thing from Lady Babylon, and then he'll stop it, pause it, and then go and put his solid black shirt on, and you have free college professor level, and not just college professor level, but in my opinion, probably one of the best philologist doctors in the United States that you could possibly learn ancient Greek from. And he goes through the alphabet. The first one, he goes through the alphabet. Just fast forward through the video until you get to the point where you see him in all black. You can go back and you can go through each one. I just got through going through and just watching, just because I wanted to, just that section, that latter part of the video where he is strictly doing the ancient Greek class, teaching ancient Greek. And it's pretty impressive. There's a booklet involved. You know, I don't know what to tell you. You can obviously get in touch and take the Greek class from him if you want. He charges for the Greek class. I don't know if you'll be able to get, you know, I don't know if he would like sell you the booklet that he's talking about that you need, but from what I've seen, I taught myself how to play guitar. You can teach yourself how to read ancient Greek at the level that he's encouraging you to be able to do it with what's in those videos if you work at it. And I'm fascinated with it. If I was in my 20s or maybe even my 30s at this point, I might tackle it because it looks fascinating, and the more you listen to him talk about the ancient Greek and how complex it is, the more interesting it gets. So anyway, but yeah, so I'm gonna stop this video. But yeah, anybody that, you know, don't judge a book by its cover. If you want to come at me and try to make me look like a fool, or try to pad your own ego and feel like your little thin wall of your bubble that you live in is strong by shooting arrows at me and calling me a goofball or crazy or, you know, whatever, you know, go ahead. I don't care. You can comment all you want and everything, you know, but you're not going to deter me. You're certainly not going to embarrass me. The embarrassment's on you. In the end, truth is truth, and those that embrace it have no embarrassment. Those that are too scared to look at it are the most embarrassed, in my opinion. So, yeah, think you're dealing with a dummy. Think you're dealing with some crackpot loon that believes every crazy conspiracy theory out there. Yes. Go ahead and think that. I got facts, bro. I'm just like Dr. Hillman. I got facts. I got a challenge for you. You want to call me crazy? Have I discovered something that I think is true that isn't? And Dr. Hillman, does he know what he's doing with the ancient Greek? Or does he not know what a Christ is? Does he not know what a Laestes is? It should be obvious. It's right in front of everybody, right? I mean, my God, look at the Epstein thing. You had the Clintons were exposed for it, and Trump got mileage out of it while he was trying to destroy Hillary the first time, which he didn't want to destroy her. This is all a game to these people. He's kin to Hillary, by the way. Look at them. That's not what proves they're kin to each other. The fact that they're both descendants of the same Scottish king is what makes them kin. But they do look a lot alike if you look at them. Anyway, same color hair. Got that blonde Aryan shit going on. You know what I'm saying? Nordic. Trump's also related to a couple of Nordic, like Norway and Sweden, or Norway and Denmark royalty. Yeah, it's all a big royal fascist fascism, or fascist feudalism, something like that. But anyway, I'm gonna stop this. But yeah, I'm not really happy about the bike situation. All I know to do now with the bike is just to try to, I don't know, let it sit a little bit longer, keep plugging things in and trying to get them to charge. Maybe put the battery, I guess I'm going to put the battery on the bike and try to turn the bike on with the button on the handlebars and see what happens. Maybe something will rework itself and reprogram itself or something. If the battery went all the way dead and it got wet, I don't know. But it looks like $360 that I had when I only had about $650 that I spent 3 or 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whatever. Seems like that's just another thing that is disappointing and a setback, and makes my life, instead of what it was supposed to do, makes my life to make my life more convenient and easier. Because I chose to go down there that day and it rained like it did, and I went into the water, and me and everything went into the water, about 2.5 feet of water. It's ruined the bike. That happened approximately 3.5 hours after the guy was yelling at me to get out of the road. About 3.5 hours to 4 hours later, about 4 hours later, because I had to charge the battery for about 3 hours to try to get back. Anyway, hope everybody has a good week or rest of the month or whatever. Y'all take care. Hopefully things will get better. I think things will get a lot better if we can get the criminals out from the positions of authority in the government that they have. Good night.